The woman who could smell illnesses. The story of Joy Milne. Joy Milne was not an extraordinary woman in the eyes of most. She lived in the serene town of Perth, Scotland, where her days were filled with the quiet routines of family life. But unbeknownst to others, Joy carried a secret ability that would one day leave the world astounded. Her gift was subtle, unspoken, and as elusive as a whisper in the air. It started innocuously. Joy began to notice changes in the scents around her. She never considered herself someone with a particularly sharp sense of smell, yet in certain moments, specific odors would linger in her mind long after they disappeared for everyone else. They weren't everyday smells of food or flowers, but something far more complex, something she couldn't quite identify. Her husband, Les, was her closest companion. He had always been a healthy, active man, but one evening, as he walked past her, she caught a whiff of something different. It was faint but unmistakable, a musky scent that clung to his skin, though he had just showered. It wasn't unpleasant, but it was foreign. At first, she brushed it off as a strange thought. Perhaps she was imagining things. As months passed, Joy couldn't ignore it. The musky odor became stronger, lingering in the air around Les. She didn't mention it, feeling embarrassed by the absurdity of it all. What kind of person smells illness, after all? Besides, Les seemed perfectly fine, still the same vibrant man she had always known. But that scent, it was persistent, hanging around him like a shadow she couldn't escape. Years passed before anything tangible occurred, but the scent never left Joy's consciousness. Then came the day when Les began to show physical signs of illness. It started with a tremor, just a slight shake in his hand, almost imperceptible. They both dismissed it as nothing serious. But the tremor didn't go away. Soon, Les found himself struggling with stiffness and slowness of movement, his once easy strides reduced to shuffling steps. Joy's concerns grew. Finally, after multiple doctor visits, Les was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 45. Joy was devastated by the news, but in the back of her mind, a strange realization crept in. She had smelled it. She had smelled something on Les years before the diagnosis, but had no idea it was connected to anything serious. Could that scent have been a warning? She didn't dare speak the thought aloud, but it gnawed at her relentlessly. The musky smell that had once been so faint was now overwhelming to her, especially as Les's symptoms worsened. The scent was almost a marker of his progression, and yet, no one else could smell it. Friends and family remarked on Les's condition, but never mentioned any odor. It was as though the scent was hers alone, a private sense of knowledge that she could not explain. The idea that she could smell an illness as complex as Parkinson's seemed ridiculous, even to Joy. But fate had a way of bringing the truth to light. One evening, Joy attended a Parkinson's support group meeting with Les, surrounded by others battling the same affliction. She listened quietly, not wanting to draw attention to herself, but something odd happened that night. As she sat in the room filled with people suffering from the disease, she began to notice the same musky smell she had associated with Les. It wasn't just one person, but many of them carried the same scent, distinct and unmistakable. The air around her was thick with it. Her mind raced as she realized that this was not a coincidence. The smell wasn't unique to Les. It was the scent of Parkinson's disease itself. For the first time, she shared her secret with Les. "I know this sounds crazy," she whispered, "but I think I can smell Parkinson's." Les looked at her with disbelief, but didn't dismiss her claim outright. There was no way to prove it, of course, but something about the conviction in her voice made him pause. He encouraged her to tell the others in the group. The revelation stirred curiosity among the group members, but it was still a far-fetched idea. Joy's claim, while intriguing, was met with skepticism, until it caught the attention of a researcher from the University of Edinburgh. The story of Joy's peculiar ability spread quietly at first, but it soon reached the ears of Dr. Thilo Kunneth, a scientist studying Parkinson's disease. Dr. Kunneth was fascinated by the potential implications of Joy's claim. If she could indeed smell the disease, it could open entirely new avenues for early detection, something that had eluded the medical community for years. He contacted Joy, eager to put her ability to the test. In a carefully designed experiment, Dr. Kunneth's team provided Joy with 12 t-shirts, 6 worn by people diagnosed with Parkinson's and 6 worn by healthy individuals. The shirts were unmarked, and Joy had no information about the individuals who had worn them. Her task was simple: smell the shirts and identify which ones belonged to people with Parkinson's. With great concentration, Joy took her time, smelling each shirt deeply. One by one, she separated them into two piles: those that smelled of Parkinson's and those that did not. When she finished, the researchers revealed the results. Joy had correctly identified all 6 people with Parkinson's. But that wasn't all. There was one shirt in the healthy pile that she insisted carried the scent. The researchers were puzzled. The person who had worn that shirt had not been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Could she have made a mistake? They marked it as an anomaly and moved on. Months later, the researchers reached out to Joy with stunning news. The person who had worn the shirt she flagged as carrying the Parkinson's scent had just been diagnosed with the disease. Joy had detected Parkinson's even before clinical symptoms emerged. Joy's discovery made headlines. The idea that Parkinson's could be detected through smell was groundbreaking, and her ability sparked new research into identifying volatile organic compounds that might be responsible for the scent. Scientists began to study whether other diseases, like cancer or tuberculosis, might also produce distinct odors that could be detected early. For Joy, the attention was overwhelming. She had always been a quiet woman, content with her life in Perth, and now the world wanted to know her story. Interviews, research projects, and media appearances filled her days, and while she was grateful that her ability could help others, it was also a heavy burden to carry. She couldn't stop herself from smelling illness in those around her, and sometimes it was too much to bear. There were moments when she wished she didn't have this strange gift, when she longed to live in ignorance like everyone else. But as Les's condition deteriorated, Joy knew that her ability had a purpose. If her nose could help others detect illnesses early, perhaps it would spare them the long, painful journey she and Les had endured. In the end, Joy Milne's story was not just about the ability to smell illness, but about the power of intuition, the hidden senses that connect us to the world, and the incredible ways that one person's life can change the course of science. The scent of illness, once a mystery, had become a beacon of hope. And Joy, the woman who could smell disease, had forever changed the landscape of medicine.